Hi, my name is Brooke and I'm with the United Spinal Association's Pathways to Employment program. Have you thought of returning to work? There is a lot that goes into this process and it can be easy to have fears about the job interview. So this video will discuss 3 different tips that will provide positive support for you during the interview. Federal contractors must abide by Section 503 of the Rehabilitation Act of 1973, a law that ensures federal contractors and subcontractors do not discriminate in employment against individuals with disabilities. The law requires employers to take affirmative action and recruit, hire, promote, and retain people with disabilities. If you are curious about which companies are federal contractors, there are a couple of things to think about. First, companies like Coca-Cola sell Coke to Army bases where they utilize Coke machines, so you can imagine this covers a lot of employers. Just about 98% of all employers. And second, if the job application asks you to self-identify as a person with a disability, then the company is a federal contractor, as they have to hire 7% of their employees as people with disabilities, so it is to your advantage to self-identify if asked. However, a stigma is still at large when it comes to job interviews. Even though this law is in place, employers may still have a bias, whether it is known or unknown, and they may have misconceptions of hiring someone with a disability. Or they may simply be ignorant when it comes to disability etiquette and how to appropriately interview someone with a disability. With all this in mind, I want to start with tip number 1. When you go into an interview, your job is to make the interviewer feel comfortable. Typically, this is the other way around, and the interviewer tries to make the job applicant feel less nervous, so they can have a really nice discussion. Unfortunately, the norms tend to be reversed in this scenario, and the interviewee has to maneuver both their own nerves plus the interviewer's level of comfort. In business school, individuals are taught to look the interviewer in the eye and give them 3 to 4 firm pumps of a handshake. So, what do you do if that isn't something you can do? Be confident in yourself and your abilities. Before entering the interview, think about how you would do this job well and what you will bring to the table. Then, confidently express your thoughts to the interviewer. For example, I know of an individual who was very knowledgeable with computers. He had obtained a C5 to C6 injury and his hands were in splints. When he went into his interview, he noticed the tension between him and his interviewer. However, he jumped in and automatically told the interviewer how he could contribute to and assist the company. He said, "I know you may be wondering how I am able to do this job, and I want you to know that because of my disability, I have to problem solve. And in problem solving, I cut down the keystrokes at my previous job, making my job much more efficient. Now, my colleagues are using my version of keystrokes and are much faster overall." The key factor here is making the other person see you for your ability and not for your disability. This individual's example is empowering as he took a difficult situation and made the interviewer see him for his abilities and what he could do. Tip number 2. Before you go to the interview, it is important to learn as much as you can about the company, the employer, and the interviewer. You can do this via Google or even LinkedIn. Interviewers love when you are able to express positive feelings about the company while also letting them know that you did your research and you care about how they operate. This could also be a helpful tip because there is a possibility that the person interviewing you may have a relationship with someone who has a disability, whether that is a family member or a friend. This could be an opportunity to make a connection during the interview. Tip number 3, be prepared. Know the message that you want to deliver during the interview. When it comes to the question that most interviewers ask, what are your strengths and weaknesses? Have 3 strengths and 3 weaknesses ready to go. However, make sure they are aligned with the job description and keep them from being random. It is also important to turn your weaknesses into strengths. If you think you have a weakness, what can you do to turn it into a strength? For example, express to your interviewer how you problem solve. You have an amazing ability to think of new ways to reach a solution that many able-bodied people could not do. Explain why your weaknesses are really strengths. You may express to the interviewer, "This may sound foreign to you, but as a person living with a disability, I can look at any situation and find a way that works without giving up. This is an advantage to hiring someone with a disability. Nothing can stop us. My disability gives me a lot of strength because I have to push through challenges every single day, and this in turn makes me stronger. I am able to see the world in a different way. Someone without a disability looks at a problem and says, I can't do that. But someone with a disability looks at that same problem and thinks, how can I do that? This conversation can allow the interviewer to understand your strengths and weaknesses in an entirely new way. That's it for today. Be sure to watch the second video in this job interview series that talks about what to do before, during, and after an interview. Thank you so much for tuning in to the United Spinal's Pathways to Employment program. We are here to help you return to work.